Hey everybody, it's Galen from the Portland Chess Shop here to bring you another chess commentary. Here as black we have Grandmaster Akopian, one of the strongest U.S. Grandmasters against Supi, who is also a very strong player. So it's 32-34 rated as black against Supi, who's 27-44. So this should be a good game. We see that it's opened with a with e4, d6, d4, knight f6, meaning that white has control of the center, but black has active piece play. Here we see black take a foot in the center, rearrange his knight. Now he's going to break back with c5. It's turned into sort of a French position, except for the light squared bishop is out, which is a good thing because the light squared bishop is usually the weakest part of the position for black in the French defense. So I think that causes white to sort of pause for a moment, consider his options, decides to take. So pawn takes pawn, and here we go. G4 taking some center space. Bishop f4. Knight takes. This is attacking the bishop, sort of controlling a lot of squares. I think this is pretty good. I think black mostly has what he wants in the opening here, except for that white does have a lot of space on the king side and could launch a king side attack if black were to castle. Queen b5, an interesting move. Sort of controlling some queenside squares, but most of them are defended at least once. I guess forcing the knight to take the bishop, but it seems like that's a good thing anyway. Now black has the bishop pair. Black defends with queen c7, sort of prophylactically covering key squares like Nimzovich. And now it's sort of a question of where the king's going to go. Okay, the kings decide to go on opposite sides, and immediately white threatens to capture the black bishop. Takes in the center, so a dynamic response to the change of position in the king side. When someone attacks on the king side, attacks on the queen side, often the answer is to attack in the center because the center is the most important area. So now the bishop is now not trapped, able to move to the powerful e4 square. The rook relocates to e1, trying to prophylactically pin that bishop, such that if the light squared bishop moves, then the queen could be under a discovered attack. So knight takes bishop here. We see that the pawn on d5 is pinned because the queen would take the queen. Thus, a6 is played. Poking at that queen. Where are you going to go? Do you have a square? Everything's sort of hanging all at once. Queen relocates. Now she can get hit by a rook. Boom. Everything's still falling. This is Grandmaster Chess, folks. Now I think we're going to see queen takes queen, forcing rook takes queen, bishop takes bishop, takes back, and then pawn takes knight. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Who saw it before the Grandmasters? That's some quality chess, folks. So the rook goes back on the d-file. Now black controls the open d-file, but white has his rook on the inside of the half-open c-file. So we have pawn majority. Black has a pawn majority on the queen side. White has a pawn majority on the. White has a pawn majority on the queen side, and black has a pawn majority on the king side. Trying to mobilize those pawns, but they are doubled, so it's a little trickier to mobilize them. King comes towards the center. Note the times, though. White has 43 seconds, black has a minute 18. That's a big deal. Time starts to become more important than even the chess position. At some point, time is more of a feature. 39 seconds. Starts to move quickly. Pushes e6. Sort of a tactic. Everything's sort of falling, but the e6 pawn will fall after f7. Right there. White pins his rook to g6. Threatens a rook trade. Might be too slow to retreat. He'll be too far behind. Nah, it's probably the right move. The king of pawn ending is just too simple. c3. That king is protecting his f-pawn because he knows that that's the only thing that's stopping his opponent from getting a queen. Powerful check. White's on 16 seconds. Check. King defends. White's gained some space. He pre-moved there, but he missed the pre-move. $11 seconds to 36. The black pawns start to push. They start to become dangerous. Check. The black king runs towards stopping those pawns. Check. Pushes. Which is going to queen first. Black defends with his king. The rook checks. Powerful pawn push. Now he blocks all the way this way. Oh my gosh. 3 seconds. White takes. White checks. Takes. He's got 2 seconds, folks. 2 seconds. Checkmate. He checkmates Vladimir Akopian with less than 2 seconds left. That is chess for you. The underdog taking it down against his 500-point higher rated, very strong grandmaster, Vladimir Akopian. So they rematch. Bring it, baby. Let's play again. So Akopian has white. He's comes out with the classical d4, c4, knight c3, sort of mobilizing the queenside pieces. Black plays a Grunfeld. So now we have a powerful center position for white versus the more hyper-modern defensive fianchetto, dragon fianchetto position of black. So this was popular by Kasparov, Bobby Fischer, a really famous opening that's really deep. So black is down a pawn. Black is up a pawn, but because he took the pawn on c3. Here he gets rid of the light square queens. He wants to try to go into sort of an endgame. Black plays knight d7, developing the last minor piece. h4 is played, maybe initiating a kingside attack. He wants revenge after the last game. Both players are pretty even on time, about 2.5 minutes per player. Supi's down a few seconds, and it can add up. The rook relocates to the center. h5 is played, trying to break up the kingside position. So now there's an open h-file which could be used. The white knight goes forward, attacking e6, f7, h7. We'll see what sort of mischief it can create. It can make. Bishop relocates to e3, sort of just guarding some central squares. Prophylactically prepares to double the rooks, I think, so that he can maybe play e6 or f6. g4 is played, taking a lot of space. He's not really worried about his king. He just wants his opponent's king. Must checkmate. Up 25 seconds. f3 is played. He's got a lot of space. Open h-file. Queen h2 looks like it could become a threat if played at the correct time. Queen h2, threatening e5, which would dislodge the knight, and then queen h7, I think, would be a powerful move. But here comes the counterplay. As I said in the last game, when your opponent attacks on the side, you counterattack in the center. So he plays e6, but he actually pushes. Notice that the queen on h2 defends the e6 square. That's the thing, the advanced thing. That's why the white's rook and queen are able to defend that pawn successfully. e5 is played. If the queen takes it, the knight can go anywhere with a discovered attack because the fianchetto dragon bishop. We'll attack the queen on e5. Both players around a minute and a half now. Vladimir wants to take on e5, but he knows he can't because knight takes g4 is just gross. It's devastating. So now that pawn might be falling. Can't defend it with the knight. Can't defend it with the bishop. And if the e6 pawn falls, then his kingside attack falls apart. So Vladimir's in deep thought. I hope his name's Vladimir. I think it is. Vlad. I'm not sure. But anyway, takes on e6. So white has lost the center pawn. So white has a 500-point rating. Is rated 500 points more, but it looks like he's not winning this game, and he lost the last game. So he's going to have to play some catch-up. but he's a very strong player. He does have pretty good control of the center with this this duck formation, mighty V. So the queen comes down to d6, attacking the pawn, but now this c pawn is just on the loose. It is trouble. And how's the knight on g5 going to come back to defend it? I mean, sure, black's knight and bishop aren't doing too much right now, but neither are white's. White's bishop is just defending the pawn that could promote, and then the knight's not doing anything. So. But remember the time. We got 57 seconds against 51 seconds. So we do see Supi playing pretty fast. This is a good move, I think. Trying to trade queens. Knowing that... but Akopian immediately sees the tactic of check and then takes back. He might just check again. I think that white could be content with a draw here. Maybe. Okay. So he comes back with the queen. The knight is hanging. Defends with the bishop again. e5 is played. A breakthrough in the center. Seems good. So now the knight is pinned. Okay, so he relocates to try to defend the knight. Pre-moves knight e4. That gains a few seconds. You got to pre-move in these sorts of situations. F4 is played, but I think the pawn on g4 is hanging. This looks like trouble in white's camp. The pawn on f4 hangs. Check, but then the king just relocates. Knight on g5 check, but king comes up again. Knight f7. It's getting close, guys. 20 seconds against 31. Does white have another check? Black's queen's going to go on a rampage, and the other pawn's going to queen with mate. It is trouble. It is trouble. He's got 20 seconds. He comes back to try and defend against everything. So now here comes a check. The knight on f4 is powerful. That he takes. Does he see a tactic? g5. Playing quick, comes back with the king, trying to defend. So now white's totally on the defensive, but the dangerous pawn has been taken. Now he starts pushing. Can he really promote this fast enough? It's pushing. One more square and it's forward. One more. Takes. Oh, he takes the bishop. Takes the pawn. So now black can't lose. Oh, he could have promoted, but it got taken. That's a tie. That's a draw game. Insufficient mating material. So thank you for listening, everyone. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Goodbye.